Hi Ange, can I just start you off by asking how the squad is for the weekend?
Yeah, all good. Everyone sort of got through well on after midweek game, and then in terms of availability, everyone else is apart from the long term ones available. So, just trying to think. Itaguchi's probably the only one significant difference from the past. He's fully training now and available for the game. So. Yeah, like I said, apart from the long-term ones, everyone else is. And Josip Juranovic, probably not for Sunday, but will be fine for midweek.
What type of challenge are you expecting from Wraith Rovers on Sunday?
It's a cup game, you know. We kind of know the nature of these competitions. We've seen it here. We've seen it down south. See it all over the world. All over the world in terms of cup competitions. You know that irrespective of who you're playing, it's a one-off game, and it'll be a good challenge for us. Obviously we're at home, which gives us an advantage. We need to take and sort of impose our football on it. But we've played them once this year, and it was a decent hit out. And again, they'll be coming here, hopefully trying to cause a surprise and a shock, and we just got to be ready for it.
That's it. Mark?
And you're facing a club that's had to deal with a lot of things off the field of late. I'm sure you're aware of that. I don't expect for a second to get your thoughts on that, but I just wonder, as a manager, how much it's all been a reminder of how mindful you need to be of everything when you're making decisions. We saw your counterpart have to speak with some real contrition yesterday about everything he's gone through during all of this.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, without talking specifically about that, because again, we're all sort of working on limited information. But I think not just as a manager, I just think as a football club, as anyone associated with, an organisation like ours, you have to be mindful of every decision you make and how it impacts on your supporters, your society, the community in general. So, that's why it's always good that when making big decisions, it's you're hopefully in a room with various sort of range of thoughts and processes of other people, so that hopefully everyone can give context to any decision made. But I'm always mindful of that. I think every time I speak, I'm mindful of what I say doesn't represent me; it represents this football club. So I think we all understand our responsibilities with that.
I just wanted to ask you about the overall position you find yourself in. And given when you came into now, how satisfied have you been with the progress?
Yeah, I think we lost him there, but yeah. But anyway, I think he's about the progress. If I miss anything, mate, just correct me. But look, we're in a good place. I think that the key word that you mentioned there was progress. That's what always I'm kind of looking for. We're still, and I don't say it to sort of discount, the position we're in, and I think the players and everyone's been really fantastic in the way we're performing. But I still really think we're still building something. We're not anywhere near the point where we can start thinking about, our way forward. We're still putting pieces together in being the football team we want. So for me, progress is the number one thing. Every week I'm looking for some improvements, some different, how we overcome challenges. We've seen over the past 7 days, we've had the derby, then we had a difficult away game against Motherwell, and we had a different challenge at Aberdeen, and that's what I'm constantly assessing. How we're improving, how we're dealing with the different challenges that are put before us, and from that point of view, it is pleasing, because I think not just from a results perspective, but performance-wise and the trajectory of the team. I think we're seeing that every week we're just adding a little bit, which is vital if we want to be the team we want to be.
Brian McLaughlin?
Hi, Ange. Nice to see you again. Just going back to Wraith Rovers, the negativity, can that have an impact on the playing squad and how they go into a game? I say that because there has been a dark cloud hanging over the club, and that must affect the players. And could that have an impact when Wraith players take to the field? to take on Celtic at Celtic Park?
Yeah, again, I'm hesitant to talk about that situation because I know if it was my football club, I wouldn't want other managers talking about my situation or my club, because we all go on limited information, and you know, for me to say how it's going to affect them or otherwise, I think is not right. I've been in this job long enough to know that, you know, from the outside things can look a certain way, and then you kind of presume a few things and you could be totally off. So, you know, what we're expecting is that, you know, they're going to come and give us a tough challenge. They see it, I think, as a club, as an opportunity to knock off one of the, you know, the big clubs in the competition, and we've just got to be ready to face that. You know, from our perspective, it's really preparing for an opponent in a football sense. All these other things that kind of happen at all clubs for different reasons. Some football related, some not football related. And I think if you fall into the trap of thinking that's going to affect on-field performance, then I think again you're dismissing and disrespecting what they can bring. So we always prepare the same way, and that is that we're expecting 𝒖𝒍𝒍 to come here and be at their best and give us a challenge, and we've got to be at our best to overcome it.
What do you know about John McGlynn, the 𝒖𝒍𝒍 manager?
Yeah, there's a bit of a connection there with Celtic, and also with you know, a couple of staff members we have here. So you know, he's I had a quick chat to him when we played them the first time, and he's very experienced, and I think he's done a really good job with 𝒖𝒍𝒍. You know, he's had them up there challenging, and you know, as well as I know any other manager, we kind of cross paths and say hello. But my understanding is he's, you know, well respected within the football community.
Thanks, good luck. Thanks, bye. Joe, Hendry?
And obviously preparing for the Scottish Cup, is that a welcome break from the league focus, which has been pretty relentless recently?
Well, I mean, I don't see this challenge any lesser. So, I mean, in terms of the relentlessness of it, I think that doesn't change. We want to do well in the Scottish Cup as well. So, you know, our focus is just changes to another competition, but in terms of our intent, nothing really changes. So, you know, for us, it's the next game, it's the next challenge. We want to continue our good form. We don't want to let our standards slip in any way, or think that we can sort of cruise through a game of football. So from that point of view, the relentlessness is still there. You know, the boys trained today, the ones who, you know, didn't play the other night, and training was very, very competitive. We're getting a strong squad, which you know, means there's competition for places, and no one wants to miss out. So, you know, from that point of view, nothing's changed in our mindset.
The last 3 games, 10 goals, and I think 6 different scorers. One of the biggest criticisms of a team can often be how reliant they become on one player for goals. How important is that aspect of your game, that you're getting returns from all over the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way we play, and it's the way we sort of set up the team. I don't think we've been over-reliant on any one player. I mean, obviously, yeah, earlier season, you know, 𝒖𝒍𝒂 was scoring important goals for us, but, you know, Dave Turnbull got quite a few, Leal's got quite a few, you know, Anthony Ralston chipped in at the start of the year. So the way we play, you know, the design behind it is to have multiple threats. We want to be a team that scores goals, simple as that. And if you want to do that, you can't be relying on, you know, individuals. I don't think the individuals add to that, and it was great to see 𝒖𝒍𝒍 get a couple of goals the other night, because, you know, he's come back from a fairly long-term injury, and you know, it always takes a while to find your feet, but, you know, his performances have slowly improved and got stronger, and, you know, it's great to see him get the rewards. And the same with Matty, who's come in and, you know, has been unlucky in a couple of occasions. So, you know, hopefully they get confidence from that. But, you know, the previous game it was Tommy Rogic. The previous game before that it was 𝒖𝒍𝒍. So, yeah, on Sunday hopefully somebody else chips in, because the more threats we have, the harder it will be to stop.
The League Cup final, obviously we saw a fantastic occasion, and the experience of winning that, how much can that help in this campaign and lifting the mid in the Scottish Cup as well?
Yeah, all those things help, but as I said, I mean, from our perspective, it's about continually to improve in our football, whatever the challenge may be, and we've tried to do that in all the competitions, whether that was, like I said, the League Cup, Europe, the League, now, you know, the Scottish Cup, we've got Europe midweek, is, you know, to try and not sort of differentiate between the challenges we have and, my sort of theory behind that is that the football we play, is just as transferable to cup football, which is a little bit different because you're kind of playing in a one-off game and you kind of know there's going to be a result. So it's not one where you can sort of, I think, be too conservative and sort of, it's cup games usually you have to go for, try and win, and that's kind of our philosophy anyway. So I think it'll help us in that sense if we stick to our football. Like I said, if we try and treat it a little bit differently or try and think that it's going to be something we're going to have to adjust the game to, then it becomes a challenge. But all the sort of little markers we've set this year, including the League Cup final, are important in what we're building, but always underpinned by the way we want to play our football.
Kevin?
And you mentioned competition for places. I mean, there's a time, in the early part of the season where you were struggling to fill some positions, and now you've got options in every one. Is that a kind of present different kind of challenges for a manager to keep, to work out when to leave somebody out, when to bring someone in?
I don't know if they're challenges. It just gives you more options, I think, and I think I it kind of gives me the opportunity to really set higher sort of benchmarks for us, because the one thing now, like I said, with the competition for places, I can rotate the team. Then that means to me that certain things like our intensity, our tempo, our intent to play our football shouldn't really drop. I think there was probably times where, particularly in the first half of the year, where I had to make allowances that we weren't going to be as sharp as we possibly could, because players were just playing so much football, and so you assess a game a bit differently. You say, well, yeah, we may have been a bit flat in a certain part of the game. There's a reason for that. Whereas now you're kind of going, well, really, with the talent we have available, irrespective of the changes I'll make, those things should be there, because what we're trying to do is, it's not so much, try and change the team for tactical reasons. It's about changing the team to make sure that everyone can perform at the levels we want. So they're the kind of decisions I'm making at the moment. It's not about saying, well, he's going to be better than him. It's about saying, well, which 11 are going to bring the energy, the tempo we need this week, who's looking best at training, who needs a game to get that to that level, who needs maybe a bit of a rest. And so, that's where it's a little bit different for me. My sort of assessment of has a higher threshold than maybe before.
Has that allowed you maybe to work on more kind of intricacies of how you want the team to play, given that maybe first part of the season you were kind of fighting fires a lot of the time, and all these sort of injuries were coming out and different things? And will this help you kind of move on to the next level of your?
Yeah, it should, in theory, moving forward. I mean, it hasn't. I mean, even I think I was trying to about even the Rangers game. I think even there we were still pretty restricted with what we had on the bench, just in terms of the makeup of the bench, not so much the players. But it's only been sort of post the Rangers game that we've got some bodies back, and all of a sudden we've got some real options, both within a game and between games, and so that will allow me, in theory, in the future. But again, I've been around long enough to know that can change pretty quickly as well. So what I'm trying to do is make hay while the sun shines, mate. So I'm trying to get as much in now that we've got the players in, and hopefully that stays till the end of the year, which means, yes, we can accelerate a lot of things, but if not, and again, we're in a position where we're a bit restricted, we're still in a good spot.
Thanks, Cam. Cheryl?
Ange, I know you're not going to give away any team news as such, but is this the perfect type of game for Christopher Julian to come back in from the start?
Look, he's, I think I get sort of the level of anticipation with Chris, because obviously he's a long-term injury. He's a significant player for this football club, and people are really keen. But again, my assessment of those things is that every player we look to give them the opportunity when we think the time's right, to give them themselves the best chance to play. Chris has been training really well in terms of consistently being out there now without any issues, which is important. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, when does he get his opportunity? Look, he'll be involved in the squad definitely on Sunday. Whether he gets game time or not will depend on how I think the starting 11 will look, and potentially then after, if he's not in the starting 11, what changes I can make during the game. So, but he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. Like I said, like everyone else, I don't think there's anyone here who hasn't had an opportunity. He'll get his opportunity, and then it'll be up to him.
Is it difficult then? It's after the performances of Cameron Carter-Vickers and Carl Starkville, it's hard for him to break his way back into the team then?
Look, I guess that's part of being at this club. I mean, I think Chris has been here long enough to know that, it doesn't matter who you are, you're always going to be competing for places, and you want to be competing for places. And it's not just them two, because Stephen Welsh is having to be patient. He's done nothing wrong every time he's played either. So, he's having to be patient as well. As I said, Carl and Cam have been going really well. It's a little bit trickier with, particularly central defensive pairings. I've always felt that, you need some understanding there, and it's the area where, least likely to make sort of too many changes if things are going well. Physically, they're able to cope with it better because of the workload. So, it's harder to give guys an opportunity through there. So like I said, for Stephen, I'm sure Stephen wants to be out there and playing as well, because as I said, every time he's played, he's done nothing wrong. And sort of Chris is in the same sort of boat. But again, they're at a big football club, and that's what happens at big football clubs. If they could be guaranteed a spot at another club, but they wouldn't be part of a big football club then.